A couple weeks ago, I was browsing the Terraria wiki when I spotted something quite intriguing. On the Pillar wiki page under the Trivia section, it states, the celestial pillars can be damaged by natural fallen stars even if the shield is still up. I'd never seen this happen before and figured it would stay that way, considering how rare it is to see a fallen star at anything, let alone a pillar that's very rarely on your world. But then it hit me. If fallen stars truly can deal damage to the pillars through the shield, couldn't you theoretically defeat them without doing anything? Well, today we're going to find out. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, we should probably verify this information because the wiki hasn't been the most reliable to me in the past. So I booted up a journey mode character and world and cranked the speed up to 24 times. After waiting around 20 minutes, it happened. A fallen star passed directly through the pillar and did nothing. No sound effects, damage tick, or any other indication that it had worked. At this point, I figured it had been patched already, and the wiki was simply out of date. So I checked the changelogs from the past several updates to see if I could spot the change. Weirdly enough, I found nothing to indicate such a patch. So then where did this idea come from? Well, it seems to originate from this Reddit post from 2 years ago. The image uploaded appeared to show the pillar with missing health, despite the shield still being active. While the image certainly could have been faked, there seemed to be several people in the comments that had claimed to see the exact same thing. After reading through the thread, I figured that it had been patched out and simply excluded from the changelogs. So I went through the trouble of testing this out on older versions of Terraria. Based on the date of the Reddit post, the latest version of the game was 1.4.1.2, which seems like a good place to start. So I launched the game in that version, and nothing. Okay, well they were at the very least playing 1.4 because that's when the health bar was introduced. So surely that version will work, right? Nope. Nothing seemed to work. Besides this one image and a handful of anecdotes from different players, I had no evidence that this was ever a thing. So either a bunch of people lied in this post, or what's more probable, it's a super rare bug that's difficult to replicate in a normal playthrough. As disappointing as this is, I'm still committed to taking these things down without doing anything. But before we get to that, I would like to ask you guys in the comments, have you ever seen or heard of this happening? If so, what version of the game? And how exactly did it happen? Because despite my best efforts, I've been unable to replicate this. Now the question is, how do we take out these pillars without doing anything if the fallen stars don't work? Well, it's quite simple really. I'll be doing the exact same thing I'd planned to do, except with a few extra steps. Or 50 to be precise. While the fallen stars can't hit through the shields, they can still hit the enemies. Meaning if we wait long enough and kill 50 pillar enemies naturally with fallen stars, the shield will go down. However, we'll be needing a lot of stars. Fortunately for us, as of 1.4.4, the kill count requirements to lower the shield have been decreased from 100 to 50 after Moonlord has been defeated. But that's still 50 enemies that we need to take down with fallen stars. So we'll need to be incredibly tanky to survive against the pillar enemies for most likely several hours. So I turned to a regen and defensive build, making use of solar and Valhalla armor pieces along with other regenerative and bulky accessories. I also placed honey, campfires, heart lanterns, and banners down to help keep us alive. While this will be attempted in journey mode, I won't be using god mode to make sure this is possible in classic Terraria. I will, however, be using the speed up function to save myself some time. But don't get it twisted. This whole process will be anything but fast. And with that, we're ready to go. Or rather, sit there and do nothing. Since I'm testing this out in normal mode, we'll only need one fallen star to kill each enemy since they do roughly 1000 damage. Or I guess 3 enemies if we get lucky. Hey, that was huge. Triple kill. Okay. While we were off to a great start, the duration of this whole event is largely determined by whether or not the enemies are in the right place at the right time. And this would happen a lot. Oh, dude, we almost got like 5 kills there. So it took us another 23 minutes to kill just 3 more enemies. I mean, we should have the first pillar down sometime today. There's one small thing I should probably mention. If the pillar is not destroyed completely before you save and exit, it will fully regenerate its health and reset the shield, which means we're effectively stuck here locked in until this thing goes down. So it may not have been the best idea to commit to doing this on the stream. At this point, I realized we'd be here for quite a while, so I started up some shiny hunts on the side. And I don't know why, but these super mundane Terraria streams always seem to attract the shinies. I found not one. Oh, is Chaos... No way! Yes! Shiny Rayquaza! But 2 shinies before even taking down the Solar Village shield. What is going on? I was eating soup, damn it. That's 2 in 1 day. After nearly 4 hours, the solar pillar shield finally went down. Oh, that's it. That's it. That was the last one. Sniped. Yes. Had the original plan for this video worked, I could have saved myself a lot of time. From here, we do the exact same thing. AFK near the pillar and wait for the fallen stars to pass through. Depending on the positioning and angle of the fallen stars, they can hit the pillar up to 3 times on the way down, dealing roughly 3,000 damage. So the time it takes to do this is entirely based on our RNG. After about 50 minutes, it was over. Hey! We got the last one. That is 1 pillar down after 4 hours and 35 minutes. Now we just gotta do that 3 more times. Now these all largely played out the same, so I'm going to skim through most of what happened. The vortex pillar was a little easier overall because the enemies clumped together quite often, so we beat the solar pillar's time by about 40 minutes. Oh, you could do some, I mean, if you... Hey, direct hit. That is pillar number 2. But here's where things get rough. And probably for the first time ever, it's the Stardust pillar that's causing the issues. I mentioned earlier that we only needed 1 fallen star to kill the enemies. Turns out there is one exception. Flow invaders have 1500 health, which means we'll always be needing 2 fallen stars to kill them. Furthermore, the pillar likes to spawn in Milky Way weavers on top of the player. This is really bad because with our current arena design, or if you even call it an arena, we have the player underneath blocks. So the weavers can't actually get hit by any stars. Naturally, I tried going above the blocks with the enemies, but it was just a matter of time before we got sent back to spawn. Now, there's almost certainly a better block structure that could be used to deal with this pillar, but I powered through with the one I had. In the end, taking out the Stardust pillar nearly doubled our overall time, taking about 7.5 hours to complete. While not as bad as the Stardust pillar, the Nebula enemies also gave us some trouble. Specifically the floaters, because they would consistently move towards the player and into cover from fallen stars. Yeah, they haven't finished it yet. Isn't that wild? Oh, you are kidding. I feel so cheated. It took a while, but eventually I realized that I had enough bulk to tank the enemies, provided a brain suckler had attached itself to us. Okay, we don't have a moose though. We don't have... Oh! Alright. Oh, close. Oh? No. Hey, there it is. It took over 21 hours of real life time to do it, but it's indeed possible to take down the pillars by doing literally nothing. No weapons, traps, damaging accessories, nothing. Now, should you is another question. Probably not, especially in classic mode unless you're willing to give up 504 hours of your life. Thanks for watching, please sub, peace.